Wendy, thank you so much for joining us. Texas law does have exceptions to protect the life or health of the mother. How has that worked out?
It hasn't worked out at all, Linsey, and it demonstrates the reality that exists when you have abortion bans in place, as we do in Texas. Exceptions don't work. And the reason they don't work is they're only as good as the people who are allowed to interpret them. And Texas law is written so vaguely that doctors and hospitals are afraid to provide life-saving care to patients who need it, and unfortunately have been pushed to a point where they feel like their patients need to be literally at death's door before they can intervene, because if they're found to get it wrong, they'll spend the rest of their life in prison. And we've seen it play out time and time again that people have come close to dying as a consequence of not being able to get the care that they need here.
Since Roe v. Wade was overturned, how many women in Texas does Planned Parenthood estimate have actually traveled out of state to have an abortion?
So what we know is that it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to more than even 50,000 people a year who are having to leave our state to get the care that they need. And unfortunately, the reality on the ground here is that there are so many people who cannot leave the state to get the care that they so very much desire. And the reasons for that are myriad. Many because of financial obstacles that keep them from being able to leave the state, many because of obligations to work or children. And as someone said to us recently, you could charter a private plane for me and I still wouldn't be able to leave because of my obligations to my children and my job. And so, as we knew would be the case, this burden has fallen most heavily on lower income women, particularly women of color. And that's where we're seeing our birth rates in the state grow, while we're seeing the birth rates of Anglos here in Texas decrease.
And Texas Senator Ted Cruz recently told Texas Monthly that abortion restrictions that state legislatures adopt simply reflect the values of the citizens. Where do Texan voters stand on abortion? Because it's my understanding that about 78% of the Texas residents believe some form of abortion should be allowed.
That's exactly right. He's completely incorrect about that. And Senator Cruz knows better than that. He knows that he's not telling the truth. He knows that the reality is the vast majority of people in our state support restoring Roe. And the fact of the matter is, because of redistricting and the fact that gerrymandered districts have led to extremists being elected to the Texas legislature, those extremists are representing a minority fraction of the people who live here in Texas. And it really, again, shows that when you turn these things over to state control, coupled with the fact that we don't have voter protections and protections against extreme partisan gerrymandering, you are going to wind up with a system that is not reflective of the values of the people who live in the state. This is the Texas that Ted Cruz envisions, and it's the one that we're pushing back against every single day.
Wendy Davis, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.